to tomguitar.co.uk right now to check out the free guide, Boost Your Picking Speed by 50%. It covers the 7 most common mistakes everybody makes when they're learning speed picking. If you're making any of these mistakes, then you can't get progress. So check out that guide and hopefully it can help you massively boost your picking speed. That's at tomguitar.co.uk. Now on with the free lesson. So how do you stick to your guitar goals then? Let's say you've got the goal of being really good at shred guitar, right? It's the goal that I had a few years ago and it's a goal that I'm still working towards even today. So once you've got a big exciting goal, then the next step is obviously working towards that. So let's go back a step. Let's just say, okay, what if you haven't got any kind of goal on guitar? Well, it's nice to have a goal because that means you've got something to shoot for, so you know why you're playing. You've got a reason to pick up the guitar every day, and that'll keep you playing, it'll keep you motivated, and it'll make sure that you're always progressing, which will mean that you keep getting better, and then if you're improving, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. So basically, having a goal is really important. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter what that goal is, as long as it's something that really excites you, and it's something that you'd be really proud of achieving. And then once you've got a general idea of what you'd like to do, the next step is obviously, okay, well, how do I get there? So you form a plan, and you might decide on what you're going to practice or what you're going to work on, maybe have a few songs that you'd like to learn, a few techniques you'd like to work on, all that kind of thing, and that's great. But then after a few weeks, what happens if you start to get bored with it, or you get frustrated because you're not getting the results that you wanted, and then you're struggling to stick to it? So that's what we're going to cover in this video, how you stick to these guitar goals. Now, there was a study conducted, there's a book called the Marshmallow Test, where it talks about it. And I don't know the details, but basically they put a bunch of kids in different rooms, one person in each room, and the kid was put in there with a marshmallow. And the marshmallow was just on the table, and they could eat the marshmallow any time they liked, but they were told if they didn't eat the marshmallow in 15 minutes, then at the end of that 15 minutes they'd get another marshmallow. So if they ate it, yeah, okay, that's it, you can go home. But if you don't eat it and you refrain from touching that marshmallow for 15 minutes, then you'll get another one, so you'll actually have 2 marshmallows. So basically it's testing whether you can delay gratification in order to get a greater reward in the end. And this test turned out to be a better predictor of these people's success than their SAT scores, than their GCSE results, or whatever the American equivalent is. And it turned out to be a really good indicator of how successful they were in life, just because it tested how likely they were and how able they were to say, no, I'm not going to do that right now because I know that if I refrain from having that now, I'll have a better reward in the future. And this is a big part of being successful. So it's all about delaying that instant gratification. Now, in another video, we talked about the motivation equation, so you can find the link to that in the description below. If it's not in there, just have a look on the channel somewhere and you'll find it, the motivation equation. And basically, we talked about how if you've got a really exciting goal and you've got a plan that you absolutely know can get you there, and it won't take very long for you to get to that goal, then you'll be really motivated. But there's another component to this, and that other component is making sure that you are able to delay instant gratification in return for a greater reward in the future. So what I mean by this is when you get home from work, maybe you don't want to pick up your guitar and do half an hour of picking practice, for instance, if you want to be good at shred. Or maybe you don't want to, learn that song. Maybe you just want to sit down in front of the TV and play some video games for an hour. And that's instant gratification. As soon as you turn on the game, yeah, you're playing, it's brilliant. You don't have to do any work, right? But sometimes with guitar, it can take a little bit of work to get started. And that's why it's important to be able to delay gratification and delay an immediate reward in return for a greater reward in the future, okay? And that's how most people approach it, and they say, no, I've got to work now, I've got to pay the price today so that I can do other things in the future and I've got more freedom and I can play guitar better. But there's another approach you can use here, and I think people are missing something that's actually really useful. Because what if, okay, let's say all of these different activities, let's divide your activities that you spend in the day in the ones that are helping you work towards your goals, and then all the other stuff that you do just because it's fun or it gives you some kind of instant gratification. And then obviously you've got the third category of stuff you need to do to survive, like sleep and eat, but we'll ignore that for the moment. So you've got stuff that's working towards your goals, and then stuff that's instantly gratifying, like watching television or playing video games or eating junk food, that's not helping you work towards your goals, but you do just because it's a bit fun in the short term, okay? Like going out drinking with your mates, for instance. So we've got these 2 separate categories, right? And ideally you want to do as much of the work towards your goals as you can, because that's making you a better person, and it's helping you get to where you want to go, whether it be on guitar or in fitness or health or wealth or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. But obviously we get distracted by these other activities that are more instantly gratifying. So you might say you're trying to get fit, for instance. You might say, yeah, I'm gonna work out every day for an hour, and then by the end of this year I'll probably be a much fitter person. Right, okay, yeah, that's a good goal. And then after 3 weeks, I can't be bothered to do the workout tonight. I'm tired, I've had a long day at work. I know, I'll just watch TV instead and sit down with a Mars bar. And then, okay, well, that means you're not working towards your goals. You've replaced one of these activities with one of these instantly gratifying activities because this offers you more fun in the short term. You've given in. The discipline hasn't worked, right? So I'm saying, how about, instead of having these two separate categories, you put them together? So how about you make your goal activities ones that are also instantly gratifying? Make them fun to do. Okay, so for me, for instance, this was a big reason why I started YouTube instead of doing all of the written articles on the blog, because YouTube I find much more fun to do, so I'm doing a lot more of it, so the blog is growing. I'm helping more guitar players now than I was before, and that's my ultimate goal. So by combining these two activities, these instantly gratifying activities over here and the working towards your goal activities, and putting them together, then you become much more likely to actually reach your goals. So if you're not really understanding this, basically this is how you do it. So the activities that help you work towards your goals are often things that might not be actually fun to do. While you're doing them, you might think, oh, this is a bit boring. But once you've done it, you've got a reward, you've got a result, and you're like, wow, I'm really glad I did that. And then the instantly gratifying activities over here are the ones that while you're doing them, they're really fun. You know, say playing video games or watching television or drinking in the pub with your mates. But after you've done them, you haven't gained anything. You haven't improved any skill, and you're not a better person than you were when you first started the activity. Okay? So what I'm saying is, try and combine these categories. Try and combine the idea of an activity that helps you work towards your goal, and an activity that's fun to do in the short term, and find things that you can do that help you work towards your goals and are fun to do while you're doing them, and then you'll want to do those things all the time, and then all day, every day, you'll be working towards your goals, right? So how do you do this on guitar? Well, it's really simple. All you need to do is make the practice fun. You need to make sure that when you're practicing, it's enjoyable. So often people recommend, oh, well, when you're learning to shred, it's really important to do an hour of metronome practice every day. And the metronome is going tick, 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 and you just go, or whatever whatever pattern you're working on, and it's just mind-numbing. Nobody can do hours and hours of that, or very few people can. Some people can, but most people give up before they get there, which is why not many people can play fast on guitar, right? So what you need to do instead is make that fun to do, right? Because at the moment, that boring metronome practice, it's helping you work towards your goals, right? But it's not instantly gratifying, it's not fun to do, it's boring as hell, right? But then there might be something else, like just jamming along to your favourite songs. You know, you whack on an AC/DC CD and you just jam out to the riffs, and it's great fun, right? That's instantly gratifying, but because you're just playing the same song you know over and over again, you're probably not getting that much better, so you're not really getting much of that working towards your goals, right? So what you do instead is find activities and find practice methods that help you work towards your goals and are also really fun to do. So with the shred practice example, for instance, one of the things that I often recommend is once you've got a pattern under your fingers and you can do it while doing something else. So like this pattern, for instance, that I'm playing here, I haven't got the amp on at the moment because it'd make too much noise while I'm talking, but I can talk while I'm playing this pattern because it's already ingrained in my head, right? It's already ingrained in my brain. So once you get to that stage and you can play a pattern pretty much without thinking about it, so you'll get there between between half an hour and an hour of practice. After that much practice on a small lick, you'll just be able to do it while talking to somebody or while watching television or something like that. And that's the stage you want to get to, right? Because then you can do this while you're doing other things. You can be practicing that pattern while talking to your mates. You can be practicing that pattern while watching your favourite TV show, your favourite sitcom. You know, I do this while I'm reading Kindle books because I like reading, and I can use the auto scroll feature. It scrolls through the pages by itself, and then I'm just practicing guitar, but what my hands are doing is automatic. I've already practiced that to the point where it's subconscious. I don't even have to think about it. So I can just get thousands and thousands of repetitions of these patterns in and really improve my technique while I'm reading, which is something I do anyway, so I'm not actually losing anything. It's instantly gratifying because I'm doing something fun, like for instance you might want to watch TV or YouTube or read or whatever, but you're also working towards your goals because you're repeating that thing that you want to get better at and that you want to improve your speed on, right? So that's one way you can do it. Now, another way you can do it is make the exercises you practice musical, because playing music is instantly gratifying, right? It's instantly fun. You play the note, oh wow, that sounds cool, oh I like that, that's why we play music, right? So you make the technical exercises that you're using to build your speed, which are the things that are helping you work towards your goal, into music that's fun to play, which is instantly gratifying, so then you've got both of them together and then you're going to get much better, okay? So what you need to do is, instead of creating boring kind of chromatic exercises, which can work, they can be quite useful, I still do them, but it's nice to be able to make things that are more musical. So next time you come across an exercise, or next time you decide on an exercise to practice a particular skill, make it musical. Turn it into a little song. See if you can create a little kind of etude or a little, like a riff that's based around that skill. So let's say you were practicing your kind of tremolo picking just on one string, and you wanted to get really good at that tremolo picking, right? Well, if you were just going to sit there with a metronome, tick, 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 you'd probably be bored after 5 minutes because it's boring, right? There's nothing there that's fun about that activity. But it is helping you work towards your goals. But then how do you make it fun while still working towards your goals? Well, one of two things, right? We could get it to the point where it's subconscious and we don't have to think about it, like this, so I can talk to you while I'm doing it. And then do something else while you're practicing. So sit in front of the TV. The average person watches about 5 hours of television every day. If every time you sat in front of the TV, you just picked up and down like this, within a few weeks you'd just be phenomenal. It would be unbelievable the amount of progress you'd get, right? Because you're doing hours and hours of it every day. So that's one way to do it. But then the other way that we talked about is make it musical. Okay, so how can I make this musical? Well, I could make a one-string riff, for instance, that uses that. So I could say, okay, well, what scales do I know on one string? Well, I know the pentatonic scale, for instance. Okay, I know that scale. And then you make up a riff using that pentatonic scale, or a little sequence or something. It doesn't matter what it is. And this is the whole point of this, is you are making this. And writing music is fun, right? I don't know anybody who hates writing music, because that's the whole point of it. It's expressing yourself through your instrument, right? So all you have to do is write a song on that one string that just involves picking up and down constantly, and then you've written that little riff. And then what if you could write like 2 or 3 different riffs using this concept of just making sure that this hand is just picking up and down constantly. This hand can do whatever it likes, right? As long as I'm doing that over and over again, then I'm practicing that thing. But if I make up, say, 2 or 3 riffs, where the right hand part is all this, I could turn it into a song. Why not, eh? You could turn it into a song. You could record some basic bass stuff, you could get a drum loop behind it, and then you could just play this song. So it's like you're jamming to that AC/DC CD again and just rocking out with the riffs, right? But instead of that, you're practicing your one string picking, but you're practicing this song that you've learned. And you're doing that, so it's musical, it's fun, so you've got the instant gratification there. Oh yeah, I love playing this song, it's great fun. But you're also repeating this motion thousands of times, which is helping you work towards your goal over here. So again, you're combining the two. So in summary then, if you want to really stick to your guitar goals and make sure you do it, it's really important that you make the process of working towards your goals fun. And if you can find activities that are fun to do immediately, so you get some kind of immediate gratification, like playing a song for instance, and they also help you work towards your goals, and then you do those activities, then working towards your goals will be a pleasure, and you'll never have to think, oh, I need to use discipline to get started with this. No, it'll be fun. It'll be one of your go-to activities. It will be like you can't wait to get home and practice your picking, for instance, okay? So now the next step is, well, how do I make practice fun? Well, the first way we talked about was practice a lick until it's subconscious, so between half an hour and an hour is usually enough, until you can just play it perfectly over and over without having to think about it while you're talking to someone, for instance. And then, well, you can do other things while you're practicing. As long as you don't need the use of both of your hands, then you can do that. So you could sit in front of the TV and practice. Or I read Kindle books using the auto scroll feature, so it scrolls through the book for me, and I can just be practicing my guitar at the same time. But what my hands are doing is on autopilot. I'm not thinking about that. That's subconscious is sorting that out. I don't have to think about it. So I can just focus on reading the book that I'm reading, which is fun, right? I like reading. So you could watch YouTube while you're doing it. Heck, you could probably be practicing while you're watching this video. So that's the first way to make it fun, use distractions. I've talked a lot about that in the courses that I do as well, so if that's something you're interested in, then check out tomguitar.co.uk, the link is in the description below. Now the second way to make practice fun is to make exercises that are musical, because playing music and playing songs is great fun. Everybody loves to do it, right? So by making the exercises that are helping you work towards your goals interesting musically, then you'll make them really fun to do. So the example we used was single string picking. Let's say you're practicing your tremolo picking just like this and you want to get really good at it. Then create a bunch of riffs that just use that picking pattern. So you create a bunch of riffs that just use single string picking all the way through. So you lay out a scale on a single string and then say, okay, well I'm going to use some of these scale notes to make that riff. If you're not quite understanding this concept, go back and watch the full video and you'll understand, because we did a couple of examples. So I really do hope this video has been helpful for you. If you've liked it, then obviously don't forget to share, like, subscribe, whatever. You know the drill by now. And hopefully then we'll see you in the next lesson.